Welcome to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary Emmett, and today we're going to spend some time talking a little politics. We're going to check in on Sandy Sanford, former Republican Party state chairman. She's involved with a lot of activities around the state and a national level on policy issues. But more importantly, we're going to talk about a little conference that's going to be going on in Bismarck on December 4th. We're going to want to talk about that and get some of the viewers informed so you can figure out how to get involved from a group called the Leadership Institute. So, Sandy, welcome to Open Range again.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a while, but I'm happy to be here.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing since you're no longer the party chairman?
Wow. So that was the middle of June. So on June 14th, you would think that I unplugged immediately, but it took a couple weeks. Yeah. I was there. I promised a transition, a nice transition, and that's what I provided for the new leadership. So I gave them a couple weeks.
So Matt Simon's a new chairman. I haven't had him on yet. I did a radio show with him about a week ago. I had him on KFWire. I did the KFWire Cafe. Had Matt on. First time I really talked to him. But he promised to come on.
Sure.
And so in the next week or two, I'm going to have him on as well, just to kind of get an idea what's going on. He's taking a little heat from some folks, but talk to me a little bit about. You're no longer chairman, but talk about that experience. You spent a couple years, and I want to talk about the December 4th event, but I want to get a little more background as being that party chairman, what that was like because of recruiting and volunteers and all that activity.
Yeah, well, it was an honor, of course. I mean, you as a former chair understand the honor it is, but it's a real job, and it was a full-time job for me for 2 years. So I put my heart and soul into it. I was there every day. Like in an executive type position. I feel that, it took 6 months to kind of get our feet wet and start running, but we ran into the presidential election and into 24 really strong. But it took about 6 months to kind of get us steady and get our feet under us and build a team. I think that we went into 24 pretty strong and ended that election, really well as far as the GOP goes.
So the hardest part of being, what would you say is the hardest part of being chairman from your perspective?
Well, I would say to understand the job, it's a job, and it's the job to manage the state office, and then of course to assist and provide services to those 47 district chairs and to make sure that they have what they need in order to, number one, find good candidates, number two, to get those candidates elected. And of course, to support overall your Republican Party. But the office itself, I mean, it's a statewide office, and there's a role there. The hardest part is making sure you have factions. You have factions over here and in the middle and on the far right. The job of the office is to do the job, to follow those rules, and to not apologize for the job and the role that it is. So when you have everybody mad at you and both sides mad at you, you're probably doing your job well. So you have to be able to take a lot of heat, and you have to be able to stand unapologetically in place.
So when you, as chairman, I was chairman for a couple terms, and I was probably a little guilty. I didn't travel the state as much. I kind of ran the office maybe more hands-on, almost like the executive director, even though I had executive director, I was very hands-on. But you travel a lot more than I did. I noticed, like, every time I would chat with you or say, how's it going in your job, you were heading somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you traveled a lot, and that's important, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I would say at first, I wanted to kind of go around. Of course, there was a narrative around when I first was elected in 23. And so I felt like, just like everybody, again, this is not a statewide elected, it's an internal organization. But I felt that they needed an apology kind of tour. And so I put myself out there to the district chairs, and whoever invited me, I went. I tried to make it happen. It didn't always happen, but I worked with everyone who reached out to me. And then I did reach out to those who seemed unattainable. I did reach across the table and tried to get to everybody who kind of pushed back. But yeah, I did travel the state, and I didn't get to every district, but I went where I was invited.
So I'm going to pivot a little bit. We're going to come back, talk a little bit more politics related to that, but I want to make sure right up front that we talk about this event and what you're involved with right now with the Women's Federation. Explain to us a little bit about this event that we have on the screen right now.
Well, this is an event that is going to be taking place in Bismarck at Bismarck State College this Thursday on December 4th. What happened is I took around a month off or 6 weeks, and we went ahead and we launched the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women, and that group is a state organization that's working really closely with the Washington, D.C. Leadership Institute. The Leadership Institute comes into communities. We had one in Fargo in November. We're having one in Bismarck on Thursday. And what they do is they train and help facilitate and promote and support people that are in leadership, professionals, but possibly people that want to run for an elected, as an elected official. So that's what's going to happen. This one's going to be I think this one is navigating the professional landscape if you want to run for office. So we're working really closely with the Bismarck Chamber, the Fargo Chamber, and we're bringing some statewide elected officials.
And is this an
week.
evening thing? Is it an all-day event?
This is an all-day event on Thursday. Well, it's not all day. It's registration at 9, starts at 10, goes till about 2. There's a panel discussion in the afternoon. There's a working lunch. What we did, we had our first introduction to the Leadership Institute in Fargo in November. This is kind of rolling off of that, and it's a little bit more training. Then after the first of the year, we're going to have a 2-day event here in Bismarck, and it's going to be for people that are running for campaigns. Because again, we have people that get tapped by factions, so they don't have a team. And I will tell you, there's a lot of homeless Republicans that are in the middle that maybe want to run for school board or want to run for county commission or want to get involved in their district, but they're not necessarily far-right grassroots, and they're not necessarily establishment. There's a lot of homeless people in the middle. This is for them. What I saw as the chairwoman is I saw people that didn't have teams. And I believed as the chairwoman that everybody needed appropriate, adequate information in order to make good decisions and able to grow. And this is providing that to those individuals.
So this isn't just political parties.
No.
This is really, it's probably more Republican, because the Leadership Institute is nonpartisan, but it tends to have Republican conservative roots. Correct?
It is. It's conservative and it's grassroots, but it is nonpartisan. And it is to grow everybody up. If you're on a board and you want to run for an office on a board, the Leadership Institute is there to train. It provides tools for that tool belt for people to grow professionally. As the chairwoman, I saw people tapped by teams, and there are people that have been tapped, and they're kind of, I wouldn't say ill prepared, but some of them lacked skill set and support. And I believe the Leadership Institute and the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women is going to fill the gap where people just didn't have that support.
So so this isn't just for women; it's for men and women.
That's true.
And it's for if I want to run for city commission, county commissioner, or something, but just get involved politically. You're saying is it helps facilitate not only a network of people you maybe never met before, but it gives you some tools to begin to figure out how to get involved.
Yeah, and why we're focusing on this navigating the professional, environment is because of term limits. What's happening is the chambers are reaching out to the parties, and there's people that own companies, and they're not sure how to navigate this. What does this look like if you have even a physician who wants to run for office and needs 80 days every 2 years? What does that look like in a professional environment? And so the chamber is trying to navigate as well and assist the businesses across the state of North Dakota. Not just big business, big company, big corporation, but what about small business? What if you run a mom and pop joint and you know what? You're getting hit huge with the tariffs and you're getting taxed to death. We know what that feels like. And yet, you know what? They want to get involved. What does that look like?
So this is this is December 4th. This coming Thursday at Bismarck State College.
Yes.
And there's more on the website. We'll talk about it again at the end of the show. Talk a bit about it. I know we have a few pictures from a couple conferences that you might have. We might want to bring them up. And I know this is probably from the Fargo event that you had.
Right.
So who do we have on the screen there?
Right. So the gal in the orange, and then it's me, and then we have this Holly Horn is from the Leadership Institute. Those two gals are from the Leadership Institute. On the very far right is Linda Butts, who many people know here in North Dakota, and she is the new president of the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women, the state organization, and I'm the vice president.
Okay, and so Linda's been involved in state government at a number of, I think a number of department heads. She's been had a very distinguished career working in the state of North Dakota, and a sharp lady.
Right.
I think Linda's
perfect person to relaunch it after 26 years.
So the Federation of Republican Women, I want to dig a little bit into that. Maybe we come back from the break. So that people that want to get involved, it's a women's organization, it's Republican women. But let's just stay a little bit with this conference. So the idea that anyone can come from anywhere in the state, it's basically about 10 in the morning, registration at 9 till mid-afternoon.
Till about 2.
Till about 2 o'clock. And so you're
Right.
going to get some tools, but
Right.
you're really setting it up for a future date where there's going to be a 2-day event. And what does that look like, and when is that going to
Well, the 2-day event, again, we wanted to be respectful to the Republican convention, which I believe is in March. And again,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's the end of March.
Okay.
It's the end of March. And why not?
And then all candidates will then have to have their paperwork into Secretary of State Monday by 4 o'clock, April 6th. So we wanted to be, have something after that, immediately after that. I believe our dates are, we're in the process of planning April 10th and 11th, a 2-day event. And that will just be to drill in, for those individuals that are running in 26.
I've noticed, we're going to go to the break, and we come back, we'll dig in a little bit further about the Federation of Women, but I have noticed that there has been a growth of organizations like Turning Point that have seemed to pick up the mantle, if you will, where the national party or the state parties or districts
Right.
have kind of, maybe there's some weak districts and there's some stronger ones, but the idea with it is these other third-party organizations can help fill that role, and that's what the Republican Federation of Women's about. I want to talk about that when we come back, so some people that are watching might decide, hey, I'd like to get involved. Now, that's for the ladies, of course, but we do have a few lady viewers. So we've been talking to Sandy Sanford, former Republican Party state chairman and vice chairman of the Republican Women Federation. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Corey Heppola, and a long time ago, I left my small town for a big city. Now, I wonder, what would it be like to move rural?
Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
So, I'm traveling to different small towns across the Midwest to find out.
It's like every year in the spring, there's always like a revitalization of just excitement.
This is my town.
Oh, jeez!
Sunday night, 6:30 on Beck TV.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
Let's be frank, it's a pain to be without your vehicle after an accident. That's why you should take it to Jerome's Collision Center. Our shop is supersized, and we have the qualified staff to fill it up and work on your vehicle, step by step, piece by piece, in crazy fast time without sacrificing quality. When you need us, we'll turn your bad experience into a good one. We're Jerome's Collision Center, and we're the best at what we do.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. I want to tell you, Lady Blue and I, we got a lot of miles together, but you know what? You and I got a lot of miles together as well. And all I want to do is bring to you the information on how we maintain a domestic supply of food and fuel for future generations. So I'm going to continue to travel the world and unearth the stories that make it possible that we can live in a free United States of America.
Hello, friends. This is Culture Crossroads. Join me, Andrew Southwick, and my co-hosts, R.C. Williams and Juliana Ormond, as we tackle the issues shaping America. From politics to pop culture, to faith, freedom, family, and the future. From a faith-based conservative perspective that you won't get anywhere else. We stand at the intersection of faith and freedom. This is Culture Crossroads. Culture Crossroads, Sundays at 5 p.m. Central on Beck TV.
Welcome back to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary. I'm going to talk to former Republican Party State Chairman Sandy Sanford, who's involved in other activities. We're going to talk about a few of those other ones, but we're going to start out the segment focusing on the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women. And Sandy, you're the vice chairwoman.
I am.
Do they call them vice chairmen or vice chairwomen?
I think it's vice president, actually.
Vice president.
Yeah, and we're under the National Federation office in Washington, D.C.
So talk to us about the organization.
Yeah.
So if a viewer's out there or a man who said, my wife needs to get involved in politics and she may be better than me or whatever, how does someone get involved with this organization? Who is this organization?
Yeah.
And are they a legitimate organization?
Oh, they're legitimate. And you were the chair. You remember working with them years ago. But I will tell you, they were probably one of the first grassroots organizations that swept across the country. And they formulated in the 1930s, 1938, I believe. North Dakota had an active federation, the state of North Dakota, but they kind of, I suppose, dissolved and became inactive 26 years ago. But they were across the state. They were organized a lot like the GOP is, where they were statewide and they had charters all over the state and they had regional chairs that oversaw. But they did statewide work. But you have to remember, where were we 26 years? What was going on?
It was mostly a Democrat state in those days.
There you go.
And that was probably 25 years ago. That might have been pre-Ed Schaefer almost.
Okay.
And I always kind of thought they were kind of like fundraisers where they'd maybe bake cookies and stuff. So is that your deal or what? Talk to me about that.
No, it is, bless the cookie baker, bless their hearts, but I am a mom I'm not the one that bakes cookies. No. I will tell you. But what happened 26 years ago is, you're right. We had Pomeroy, Dorgan, and Conrad in Washington, D.C., and we had strong Democrats that were there. And so what happened in the state of North Dakota is those Republican women that had waited, wanted to get involved, they were kind of the vehicle that came home, and they put all their efforts, they decided to put this on the shelf, put all their efforts as Republican women into state efforts, become local clubs. We have a Bismarck Republican group here, but it's local. We had one in Fargo, we had one in Grand Forks, and I think Minot. Those were the ones that survived. But those women put their heart and efforts into the state work, and they really assisted to make us what's called the supermajority today. Okay? But now it's been 25 years. And when you looked across the country, North Dakota was the only state that had an inactive federation. When I was the chairwoman of the GOP and I would go to RNC, I met with the federation presidents on numerous times. And they said, we really want to get you active again. The federation is stronger. You've been out now 25 years. Let's get you guys back in and working with us. Because they believe, and when I look at other states and I talk to other states through the RNC, that Federation of Republican Women really is it's a stabilizer in the state. It really strengthens the Republican Party in general. It strengthens women Republicans. And again, I always talk about the homeless Republicans in the middle. I think that's where they're at. I think there's a lot of people in the middle that just, they don't know where to go, because they're not going to go here to the left and they're not going to go to the far right.
Well, I think I go back of the women in politics. I was executive director back in the 80s, late 80s, and there were women involved, but it tended to be very male dominated. And it was when I was chairman in the 2007, 8, whatever that window, there were more women involved, but so often they were like a district chairman doing a lot of the work.
Right.
In the districts. And I think the idea that there's a lot of women legislators and women's, we have a couple public service commissioners that are women. Our lieutenant governor is a woman. And I just think that's fantastic, because it tended to be like the women are going to be Democrats, and that's really not the case in the case of Republican Federation women. And so the goal is to go out and not only train and recruit candidates, but get women involved in the whole process.
Absolutely. Find prospects and people that want to get involved. And then if they are individuals, women that want to get involved, then I would say train them up. And let's just train up and strengthen their leadership capabilities so that they're feeling more secure, in that role. And then they're going to jump out. They're going to have the courage to jump out.
So Linda Butts is the president.
Yeah, she's the president.
And
so,
long-term. And when did she get elected?
That was in October.
October, so just like a couple months. So what is the goal of the organization? I mean, is it to recruit women, obviously to grow membership, and what does it cost to be a member? Is it like $25? And can anybody, I mean, if there's chapters in Bismarck and Fargo, but what if I'm in Tioga or I'm in Bowman?
Yeah, just like the Republican Party, we have bylaws. We do have a code of conduct that was provided to us from another state, and the national really pushes the code of conduct. But yeah, we want strong Republican women, and there's an application process. In order for North Dakota to become a state organization again and become relaunch or active again, we had to establish 2 charter clubs in 2 communities. There were 10 women that came forward in Bismarck. There were 10 women that came forward in Fargo. We got those established. We came together then as a group, and those officers came together, and then they elected the state organization officers. And so that happened. October was when the 2 charters became active. I think I told you, Linda, was October, I think it was November, that we did the state organization. And she's our president. I'm the vice president. Carrie McLeod, Representative Carrie McLeod, is secretary. And then our treasurer is Kyle Hendegard in Fargo.
Kyle. So Kyle's a long-term party officer and been involved as district chairman. I love Kyle. She's been involved a long time. So the idea of bringing some of the people that are veterans along with some new people involved. Do you have staffing at this point, or is it just strictly a volunteer?
It's strictly volunteer.
Membership organization. Paid membership?
Yes, paid membership, and the clubs, those individual communities, they establish those club memberships. But I will tell you, we have so much support from the National Federation, and their 2 are coming this Thursday. They will be here, and we'll have a couple dinners, and we'll be visiting and making some visits. I've reached out to our congressionals to see if they're available. I've reached out to our governor. So yeah, we're going to make some visits with those individuals. The National Federation is professional. I mean, they want to provide professional training. They're just really wonderful women. And that's what we're trying to do, again, is just grow up these leaders.
So this event on the 4th is the Leadership Institute. I've known Martin Blackwell, who I think was the founder many years ago. He's an old-timer. Yeah. And he's been around a long time. But this particular event is open to men, women.
Yes.
Statewide, people can come in.
Yes.
But it's not, the Federation of Republican Women are one of the sponsors of the event itself.
They're just hosting.
But that's part of what so they're the host of it. So
they're the host.
I don't want people to get confused.
I know.
That could say, well, I'd like to have gone, but the point is it's broad. So who do you have coming? Do you have any statewide Republican leaders involved with it?
Yeah,
Talk about who would kind of be there.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to have a professional panel discussion, and I know we have a representative from Sanford, and I can't remember. There's 3 on that panel, but that's the professional one. Then we're going to have an elected official panel. On that panel is Secretary of State Michael Howe. We have Senator Michelle Axman, and then we have Senator Thomas on that. And then we do have some elected officials that are just visiting and will be there in the afternoon.
So, so I think the key thing is that when you look at a state like North Dakota, where I always kind of said we were a welfare state until the oil industry hit, because ag was up and down, and we always needed the federal government to keep us alive, if you will.
Sure.
And that's changed everything, right? And now we have huge billions of dollars flown into our state coffers, and you need whether it's city, county, school board, all of those offices, and if there's a vacuum formed, that gets filled sometimes by people that maybe should or shouldn't serve. I don't want to make that judgment, but maybe don't have the background. And so the goal of this organization, Leadership Institute, different than Women's Federation, is that you're really wanting to give people an opportunity just to get more informed.
Absolutely.
And learn some tools.
Yeah, I want everybody to have the same information and have the same opportunity to jump in.
Okay, so let's pivot a little bit to the Women's Federation one more time related to the group. If there's groups out there that would want to form, so let's say I'm sitting in Rugby or I'm down in Wapaton, what is the process for them to reach out? Do you guys have a website? How do people find out about the organization, get involved?
Right now, we do not have a website. We're clearly new. We're not there yet. We are just we're organizing at this time. We're still in the organization process. But Linda Butts is who they would contact, and they can connect with any Linda Butts and the 2 presidents of the community clubs, And that's all available at the National Federation of Republican Women.
Okay, and I assume the Republican Party, state party, with Matt's the chairman, supports this group. I would assume they're not adversarial because it's sponsored by the national party. Well, maybe you can speak to that.
Yes.
But the idea with it is if they can't find Linda Butts or you, I mean, maybe Google, maybe you can't find an email,
yeah.
But the state party has a website, NDGOP,
right.
And I would assume through that they could help connect you to the organization, or help me understand how some people can
they've been supportive, but again, the National Federation of Republican Women and the North Dakota Federation, I mean, we are working closely with the federal. And so, our role, again, is to find, prospects to run, to train up women, yet, we get behind our congressionals. I mean, we are the grassroots movement that get behind our DC representatives. And so, we follow the RNC platform and the RNC rules. There we go, National Federation of Republican Women. You can just click on North Dakota and you can find Linda Butts. Her information would be in there. But if there's anybody that's wanting to launch a club in the state of North Dakota, Linda Butts would be their contact. And then we have a Facebook page, North Dakota Federation of Republican Women. We already have that up and ready to go, and we put information on that as well.
So I wanted to kind of just put a bow around that because I want to pivot and talk a little bit about in-state politics as we go to the break here.
Okay.
But I feel that it's such a great organization and encouraging women to get involved, and Republican women and conservative women. I mean, those are important aspects because whether it's Concerned Women of America, and there's different groups, and we may chat a little bit about some of those that you're involved with. But the idea of that, a lot of people got off the couch and got involved because of Donald Trump, and there's men and women, and sometimes it's male and women in different organizations, but when you have a specific organization recruit women, I think that's a fabulous thing. So we've been talking to Sandy Sanford, former Republican Party state chairman and vice president of the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson is a family-owned dealer with expert staff that know their products front to back. We stock over 150 units of all types and can custom order a trailer with the unique features and capabilities you require for brands you can trust. Our experienced service team is the reason we're also the best place to have your trailer customized or repaired. Count on Base Flug Trailers of Dickinson to keep you hauling.
Come on in and experience small-town hospitality and the personalized care that makes car buying a pleasure.
We know that every journey starts with the right car. Whether it's school drop-off, weekend road trips, or your daily commute, we have the right vehicle for you and your family.
With trusted brands, affordable prices, and a team that treats you like family, finding your next car has never been so easy.
We pride ourselves on personal attention and quality service. Bassett Motors, where our customers send their friends.
We're the Ladies of Another View. Join us at 9 a.m. weekday mornings.
We'll discuss issues you care about from local and national perspectives.
You'll hear unique stories from fellow North Dakotans, plus topics in the national spotlight.
Start your day off right with Ladies of Another View.
Weekdays at 9 a.m. on Beck TV and online at beck.news.
Welcome to where classy meets Wild West. Buffalo Gypsy Boutique of Bismarck has clothing, decor, and gifts ranging from sophisticated boho style to fun and flashy. Our exclusive brands such as Scully, Double D Ranch, and Tanner Mark provide standout style for the whole family, right down to the little ones. We always have a great selection of Kimes denim, and we proudly offer American-made jewelry and artwork. Find Buffalo Gypsy classing up North Bismarck just off Highway 83.
We are the St. Mary Sisters. We are building a new facility here in Bismarck, North Dakota, for the sake of training young women to be courageous teachers in this state. The sisters will educate the younger generation to be fully alive through truth and discipline. The sisters' life of devotion and joy will make a positive difference in your community. Check out what we're up to, see what's going on, and join our mission to make a difference in the lives of the children of North Dakota.
We've all heard the phrase, that kind of thing doesn't happen in our town. But here on Midwest Murder True Crime Stories, we will shatter that false reality.
In fact, it happens more often than we know.
And sometimes the details are lost in the back pages of newspapers,
forgotten on our news channels, and eventually erased over time.
We're here to talk about murder diving into some of the most controversial cases in Midwest history.
This show will not shy away from the morbid details of these horrific events and the often ugly truths behind them.
Welcome back to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary Emineth. We're talking to former state chairman Sandy Sanford, who's also vice president of the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women, but involved in a lot of other activities. And Sandy, I think it's so important for viewers out there. They sit at home and have the remote, and I don't want to watch this, I want to watch that, and let's see what's on Netflix tonight or Amazon Prime or whatever your deal is. But we as citizens of the greatest country in the history of the world have a responsibility to be involved in the process. And I think when a Donald Trump comes along, he sweeps people into that movement that all of a sudden they respond because they just had enough, and they're fed up. They want to get off the couch and they want to do something. And then they go to somebody, or they'll maybe find somebody, and if they don't get channeled correctly, they say, go to your district meeting, and they come to a district meeting and they sit at a district Republican event. It could be a Democrat event, whatever event it is in your party affiliation. And you sit there and go like, are you kidding me? And they don't come back, and sometimes they do. Right. But unless it seems to me, in my experience, unless people are motivated personally to run for office, you tend to get disillusioned really quickly.
Yes.
Because it can get kind of... So talk to me a little bit about that as a person that's involved with the Republican Federation of Republican Women. You've been involved with Concerned Women of America, North Dakota Right to Life, North Dakota Republican Party. How does the average viewer out there that says, I'm just kind of pissed off, and I want to get involved, and maybe my issue is abortion, maybe I'm pro, maybe I'm against, but America allows you to do all of those things.
Oh, man.
So how do you... speak to getting the average person out there to say about getting involved and why it's important.
Yeah, well, I'm a conservative Republican. I'm the same Republican today that I was in 2015, 2010. I mean, I've grown, but, and I understand, empathize with the factions as I was kind of the homeless Republican in the middle. I understood, the establishment wing of our party operated a little bit like a fraternity, and you had to almost like rush or stand in a line of 100, and you had to be tapped and appointed and anointed in order to be, go forward. Where the far right grassroots, they like to jump off the shelf and say, hey, I'm here and let's go. The establishment, back to establishment, I mean, they really push skill set and institutional knowledge. And so then you had the far right that jumped in, and sometimes they were, sometimes ill prepared. I hear both of them because I'm a Republican, but both of their methods ended up, unfortunately, being poor. Both of them fall into this narrative of what I call groupthink, and they push this groupthink agenda. And if you don't fall in line 200% of the time, you are off their team. And so then you're in the middle and you're teamless. And I would say I was a teamless Republican, homeless Republican, as the party chair. And so I believe in, again, giving all people I want people to have adequate fact-based information so that they can use their own critical thinking skills in order to make good decisions. I want my elected officials, I want people in their district, if they feel that they're good candidates and they have the skill set and the time and the heart and the head to do it, go do it. But use your own brain and your own critical thinking skill. If you're going to jump into the Republican Party, good God, stand for the Republican Party. And I don't mean... we always talk about RINOs. We use this word so liberally, and we always lean to the left with it. But I dare to say there's RINOs on the right too. We have far right RINOs on the right because we have people that are in our party, whether they're Democrats that have come in from the left, or we have Libertarian Party people that have come in from the right. We have RINOs on the left and RINOs on the right. I am a Republican. I want Republicans to be in my party and in office and represent me. I don't want Dems, and I do not want Libertarians. And that's where I'm at.
So when you take what you just said, which was very good, and the idea of RINOs on the right and the left, that's a valid point. I've never had anybody say that before. And I got a RINO that I a lot of times have in front of my buffalo, but I don't always have it as a rhinoceros eraser. And I would say, we got to erase and get rid of those RINOs in the party. And my point of it is to what you said, is we are all together Republicans. We are independent thinkers. And many times Republicans are Republicans because they're very independent. They aren't lemmings that get in line and follow the exactly what to do. And that debate is good for the party. It's good, but we do then when the election's done and you have your candidate, then you have to come together.
Well, how do you explain, I mean, when we go to convention, we have 1,800 people that make decisions and endorse the candidates, and yet in the primary, we had 119,000 people that showed up, and then in the general, you have about, 430, okay, out of 780 population. So when we talk about who the people are, I always hear this, we the people make the decision. I don't disagree. But do I dare say that we the people are the people that show up on election day? I mean, there's a lot of people that are not going to get into the dirt of at the district level, and they're never going to come to a convention. But they're the people that show up to the ballot booth in November, and I love it when people come to the primary because that's your real local elections. I mean, get your butt to the primary and make a difference at a local level if you're a Republican. So we do see, again, 119 in the primary. 3-something in that general, those are the people.
But when let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about a convention versus a primary. Let's just talk a little bit about. I mean, it's about showing up and going to those boring district meetings, hearing to that legislator for the 14th time, but also helping, going door to door, knocking. I don't know if they lick on stamps anymore. They probably don't do much of that anymore. They pretty much peel off. But at the end of the day, they're all kind of automated process. And one of my gripes had been is that I felt the party had turned the operation over to an ad agency here in Bismarck with a fairly prominent gentleman that's retired. I picked on him a little bit, Pat Finken, over the years. Pat's a smart guy, talented as ever. But what happened is the party outsourced a lot of that. And even on a national level, whether you're doing direct mail pieces, they then went to phone banks, and it almost became outsourced where you didn't need anybody as a volunteer. You showed up at a little district meeting, and it was like an information meeting, as opposed to asking me to do something of value. So if you're on a board or you're working in an organization, people are smart today. They're busy. And if you're giving me busy work, no thanks. I got stuff I'd rather do. And so when you're chairing a party or you're doing organization like that, meaningful engagement is important, isn't it?
Well, yes, and absolutely. The delegation that goes to convention, those delegates that are approved at those district meetings, and then they go to the state convention. I mean, ultimately, those delegates are the ones that, after they've endorsed their candidates, they should be going home and they should be the ambassadors for those endorsements. They should be the boots on the ground because they go home to 47 districts. They go back to Crosby, they go back to Wilson, they go all over the state. And after they've made that endorsement, they should be the boots on the ground that go statewide, that help generate the conversation prior to the primary. I mean, that's really what the delegation's job is, not just to go to convention and flip the table over. I mean, it's not. It doesn't start or end there. They're supposed to go home and they're supposed to do more work, and they should be going door to door for all the candidates, and they just don't.
Well, see what people, I don't know if they understand. When I was like in my 20s and went to district events, there would be many times there would only be 10 people would show up. And so frankly, anybody that showed up was pretty in charge. I mean, very quickly, but the party continued to grow. And I give a lot of credit to Ed Schaefer, who began to build the base of the Republican Party. And the Democrats are just, they're decimated. They have nothing going on and they can't get any momentum. How do Republicans continue to hold that momentum and stay in that position? Is it through right policy? Is it through like Federation of Republican Women? I mean, how does the party, because there's always these cycles, and I don't see anything in the Democrats' horizon for 10 years that even have a snowball's chance.
I believe groups like the North Dakota Federation of Republican Women, they really will help, because again, we come in and we support the RNC, the national platform, and that's the foundation of the party. And I think we have to get back to the, kind of the foundation of the party. Again, I'm not going to question who districts elect for their legislative officials. But I do believe even at a legislative level, that the factions are at play in the legislature as well. And there's caucuses. We've always known that there's like the pro-life caucus, which I love the pro-life caucus. And I love it. But again, you want all those elected officials to make their own decisions, and you want them to listen to their constituents at home and bring that information back. You don't want this total group think, because then you're just split right down the middle and you can't get any work done. But I believe the North Dakota Federation is something that will assist in stabilizing the party and getting those foundational Republican values, across the state.
Do you think the Republican Party has a convention in Minot in March?
Yeah. When is it?
It's the very end of March, because it falls in with Easter, and consequently, so it creates some issues. But it's going to be the end of March. But the idea that, 25 years ago, pre-Ed Schaefer, you'd probably only get 600 to 800 people at a convention, and then in a presidential year, or every 4 years, you might get 1,000. But the numbers have been staggering in Republican circles, maxed out people fighting to be delegates. Is that trend waning because people are going to believe the convention's irrelevant?
Well, it's a midterm. You have to look at the elected. Again, it depends on who's showing up. Are the elected officials, the statewides, are they going to show up, and are they going to seek that endorsement? They are typically the linchpin to getting the people there, right? You're not just going to bring a bunch of delegates there and then you don't have the statewides, right? And you want those incumbents there, because if the challengers just show up and you don't have the incumbents, what's exciting and fun about that? And of course, let's look at the congressional race. Congresswoman Julie Fedorchak is up every 2 years. It is imperative for the state party to be working on her office and on her to make sure that she shows up in March. She is the linchpin to the state convention being successful, in my opinion.
Because there's no U.S. Senate race up, there's no presidential race going on, so Kramer or Hoeven aren't up this time, because every 6 years they're up. So consequently, your point is, if you don't have support from the statewide office holders who are up this side, but the only federal race is Julie Fedorchak.
Right.
Interesting. When we come back, we're going to go to the break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the Right to Life that you're involved with, Concerned Women for America, and some of those groups that are so vital to building the conservative base in the state. So we've been talking to former Republican Party State Chairman Sandy Sanford. I'm your host, Gary. I'm going to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Scott Hennon, host of the What's on Your Mind program on Beck.
I'm $27,000 in credit card debt.
Okay. You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
Now's not the time to be doing math. The time to be doing math was when we didn't go into $200,000 of debt.
If you are freaked out and you're stuck in these debt payments and you think it has to be a part of your life, it doesn't.
We are Ladies of Another View. Join us every weekday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. as we discuss the big topics from North Dakota, the nation, and around the world.
We chat with everyone from celebrities and medical professionals to politicians, local business owners, and neighbors about the topics and stories that affect all of us.
We are unscripted and uncensored real news from real people. So join us every weekday morning for Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Open Range is going to be like a digital magazine, I call it. We're going to be looking at a variety of subjects, from agriculture, energy, sports, art, politics, of course, and we will be talking about a lot of subjects, having a lot of guests on, and I'm going to have a variety of co-hosts. One of them is Memo Barreto, D.L. Wetzel, Gene Grainer, Dustin Goverlau, and Daryl Lease. Welcome to Open Range, weeknights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.
We've all heard the phrase, that kind of thing doesn't happen in our town. But here on Midwest Murder True Crime Stories, we will shatter that false reality.
In fact, it happens more often than we know.
And sometimes the details are lost in the back pages of newspapers,
Forgotten on our news channels, and eventually erased over time.
We're here to talk about murder, diving into some of the most controversial cases in Midwest history.
This show will not shy away from the morbid details of these horrific events and the often ugly truths behind them.
Welcome back to Open Range. I'm your host, Gary. I'm going to talk to former Republican Party State Chairman Sandy Sanford. So, Sandy, before the break, we were talking about conventions and stuff. By the way, off subject, your husband, Brent,
great guy, married 34 years.
So talk about his new job a little bit. So he's got a new job.
He does.
Talk to just the viewers so they know what happened to your husband if they don't follow the local news. What's he doing right now?
Well, yeah, right. Well, he launched our consulting business, and he was doing that, and yeah, now he is the higher ed commissioner. You know, it was called a chancellor. It was a chancellor position, but if you went into Century Code, I can't remember if it was 20 years ago, the legislature had changed it to a commissioner title. And so he received information on that, so he went ahead and complied with Century Code, and he's the commissioner of higher ed.
And so what does that mean? What does he do?
Oh my goodness,
we got a dozen universities, right? And
yeah.
So is there a board that oversees that the universities each report into? And so he's the commissioner of the university system? Right.
So his office is at the state capitol, and he does have a higher education board, right? And he works with all the state universities, not the private ones, but the state ones.
And is he appointed by the governor, or is it an elected position? I
believe it is. It is not an elected position. It is not just an appointment. I mean, you want to have that governor support, but it is the higher board of education.
I see.
Right? Yeah.
So anyway, I need to have him on because I've been it's an important part of our whole system, and it's a big role. But I didn't want to bug him too quick. I wanted to get a little settled down into his role. But for the viewers out there, I just wanted to let them know that Brent Sanford is your husband. You were chairman, but he was also lieutenant governor. A lot of people, of course, know Brent. He's pretty well known, been around the state. Good man.
Yeah, and he, you know, if people think I work hard, he works harder.
Not only does he work hard, he's pretty smart too.
Yeah, he's pretty smart.
So anyway, let's pivot back to a couple of these organizations. Let's talk about, you're on the board of North Dakota Right to Life. Talk to us about that group.
I am on that board, and I've been on, let's see, I believe my term up is in 27. And I'm the vice president of that as well. And then I have another there's two vice president roles. But we have a board of 14, 15 people across the state of North Dakota. And I've served on that for the last 5 years.
So this whole position of North Dakota Right to Life that the courts just ruled on, I mean, that's a big win for the Right to Life board. And people fight for that, and there's people on both sides of that issue. I get that.
Yeah, no, they were really happy with the decision on that. That was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you're on that board, and then you're also on the Concerned Women of America, or you're involved with that group.
Okay.
So talk about that organization, to give some background.
Yeah, I'm a member of Concerned Women of America, North Dakota. I'm a liaison to the North Dakota group. I used to, I've gone to Washington, D.C. and represented them, and I've traveled with Linda Thorson, who's the state executive director. We were just there in September and met with the congressionals in regards to female sports, defending Title IX pretty much, and defending the girls' rights to play.
Before I was doing the show and Brent was the lieutenant governor, I knew he tended to be more conservative than Doug Burgum, but I'd heard about you, and I was kind of always...
Heard about me?
Yeah, I'd heard about you. You were kind of an activist, and you were involved with another women's group that got started, and you had kind of a group of women that were conservatives.
Yeah.
And fighting for the conservative cause with Republicans. Talk to us a bit about that.
Well, I was part of a founding group, North Dakota Conservative Advocates. North Dakota Conservative Advocates. It's now called North Dakota CAN. And, again, my background is healthcare. I was a registered respiratory therapist. That was my background. Graduated from NDSU. And I questioned, number one, I questioned masking 24/7. certainly I didn't want to mask my children. I didn't want to wear masks myself 24/7, and people were masking, everything. And I questioned that. I don't believe that anything I did, I was just a mom, and I didn't believe that it was anything out of the norm. I was asking the questions that everyone was afraid to ask. But when they came out with this 12 feet, I knew that was somewhat of an arbitrary number because I had done a study at NDSU when I was there, and I was part of a group that went out to San Francisco, and we were published in the American Association of College and Chest Physicians. And I know that we had looked at aerosolized, it was a science project, but I knew when they came out with that 12 feet that was arbitrary and that wasn't really scientific. And I thought, man, they're making your health and my health political. Now I don't trust anybody, So I don't feel that I was any part of any advocacy, huge, making any waves. I was doing what I believed every mother would do if they could. And I didn't think it was out of the norm at all. And I have no regrets. If anything, I did push up against locking elderly in nursing homes, and I was a co-author of the essential care, that bill for nursing homes. Kristen Roars is the one who led it through the North Dakota Legislative Assembly, and it was passed in both the House and the Senate. But I wrote that because both our grandmas were locked in there, and we didn't have access to them. And I understood that was not in the best interest of them to be locked down for so long. This is not just having precautions for 10 to 14 days with the flu. 3 months, 6 months. This was the worst thing we could have done in the nursing home facilities. And I knew that it was political, and I knew it was because they're dealing with Medicare patients that they locked them in. It wasn't just for the safety of my grandma.
Well, I think what I just wanted the viewers to hear from you is you were Lieutenant Governor's wife at the time, I'm thinking.
Oh, yes.
Back then. So,
yes.
So you were around politics, but,
right.
But you were a mom that just said, I've had enough of this. And you got involved.
Yeah.
And out of that, you had huge influence in circles. And so my point was, when I said I'd heard about you, who's Sandy? And my point was that viewers out there, if there's stuff that bothers you, whether it's in the school and it's material or it's books in your local library, those things matter. And by getting out and getting involved, it can be life-changing, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I've been tied to narratives that are absolutely false as well. I was tied to, the book ban. Again, please do not put pornography in my children's libraries. In the public school, I pay money for my kid to go to school. Do not put porn in there. Don't plant porn. But hey, I'm a mom, and it is my right to ask questions. And women and men and parents across the country get attacked for just asking questions. That's what was happening. I just can't believe where we've gone. And yeah.
I think one of the reasons, but the single biggest reason I was a Trump guy was he was just against the whole woke mentality that, that we just have to just shut up and deal with it. And so when I first supported him in 2016, it was because I finally felt someone was putting a voice to standing up against this, you got to get in line and shut up kind of thing.
Yep.
And America has never been that way. We're not designed that way. And that's what the far left was doing to us.
I know. Well, are you ever going to put a mask on and just shut up?
Yeah.
Are you ever going to do that? I'm not. I never did. I didn't. So I didn't fly for a long time, and I didn't go to many of the liberal Democratic states because I was stuck at home in North Dakota.
It was. But that was a very strange time, and a lot of people, a lot of viewers out there, are saying this was just a precursor for something, the deep state wants to do to us, or the world order, if you will. And so when your faith is part of it, and I know
right.
I know you're a faith-based person.
Yes.
So that's as important, probably more from what
Absolutely.
I've heard, than your politics.
Yeah, I was never right. I have a healthcare background. I understand that dehydration and the mere flu and even a scratch can take one's life. I do not take life for granted. And myself, I have been wise in the road where I myself could have lost my life. I have had the opportunity to almost lose my life, and because of that, I do not take any minute or second on earth for granted. But I am a Christian, and I believe in the Lord, and I have faith, and it's not that I'm fearless, because I'm not. There are things that I fear, but because of my faith, there are certain things that I feel that, you know what, this is in God's hands, and, you know, He's going to decide my time, you know. But I'm not reckless. I mean, I think what the woke agenda tried to do is paint parents like me that had valid questions. They painted us as reckless, and I am far from reckless. What I leaned back into was my clinical experience, my college education from NDSU, my practical experience, both as a registered respiratory therapist, ICU, ER, and all my clinical. I mean, I leaned into that knowledge when I asked those inquiries.
And when you do that, I think so often, I don't know if I want to, we sometimes use the deep state loosely, but sometimes agencies push back because you're challenging their authority. And you don't really mean to say they're wrong. You're just saying, like, I need more answers. And if you got a valid answer that's accurate, but as soon as you ask a question and you didn't believe everything, it was like you didn't believe the science, you know.
I know.
And that was really the challenge. And that's why people like what you did stood up, and some of the moms got involved. Was so important to the whole process.
I know. Yeah, moms. Yeah, you don't mess with the moms.
I hear you. Okay, now we got about 1 minute to go finish up the show. So tell us once again, December 4th, you got an event in Bismarck. Let's just give all the viewers out there a perspective so they are aware of what they can be a part of.
Right. It's Thursday, December 4th at Bismarck State College. It's registrations at 9 o'clock. It's a 10 to 2. There will be a working lunch. There will be panel discussion. We will have state elected officials there. We will have Secretary of State there at the closing. And this is an event in order to really just train individuals that are maybe in professional roles that are considering running for not just office, but maybe, you know, a board, you know, as an officer at a local board.
And then last thing we talked about, North Dakota Federation of Republican Women, they can get a hold of the state party or go to your Facebook page to find out women how to get involved. That's women only, not men that want to think they're women. It's for women only, right?
Yeah, and they can find us through the National Federation of Republican Women, that official site. They can sure find us there, and then we do have a Facebook page.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Sandy. Thank you for coming back on.
It's fun.
So we've been talking to former Republican Party State Chairman Sandy Sanford, who's also Vice President, North Dakota Federation of Republican Women. I'm your host, Gary Emnett. Thanks for watching.
$27,000 in credit card debt.
You have to radically do something different, because if you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting.
There's never been a better time to rediscover the style, reliability, and all-season, all-terrain fun of the all-new Nissan lineup at the new and improved Ryan Nissan. Whether it's the sleek and stylish Murano, the adventure-ready Pathfinder, or the reimagined, ready-for-anything 2026 Rogue, the all-new Ryan Nissan has the vehicle of your dreams at a price perfect for any budget. It's time to rediscover your passion for the road. It's time to rediscover the all-new Ryan Nissan, engineered to endure.
Welcome to where classy meets Wild West. Buffalo Gypsy Boutique of Bismarck has clothing, decor, and gifts ranging from sophisticated boho style to fun and flashy. Our exclusive brands such as Scully, Double D Ranch, and Tanner Mark provide standout style for the whole family, right down to the little ones. We always have a great selection of Kimes denim, and we proudly offer American-made jewelry and artwork. Find Buffalo Gypsy classing up North Bismarck just off Highway 83.
I'm Corey Heppola, and a long time ago I left my small town for a big city. Now I wonder, what would it be like to move rural?
Just because we're small doesn't mean we can't have nice things.
This is my town.
Man, it's mad love up in here.
Sunday night, 6:30 on Beck TV.
Ashley, North Dakota is where life moves a little slower, but never gets dull. From hunting, camping, and fishing to safe streets where kids can be kids, this is the best of small town living. And Ashley offers everything you need, from healthcare to hardware to countless ways to stay active. Here, we've invested in our future with major upgrades to roads, parks, and education. Whether you're here for the day or here for life, you'll find Ashley's where you ought to be.